Breaking news as Paramount announces mass layoffs set to begin today, Tuesday, September 24th, as a result of them closing down their massive facility and television studio located in Hollywood, California. So we're going to talk about that and talk about what impacts that has on the localized community, whether you're a renter, homeowner, small and big businesses. I'm also going to show you guys that mass media layoffs are spreading. Virtually every single company that's involved in media is experiencing rounds of mass layoffs. And then we're going to ask really important questions like why. And I'm not just going to talk about the Federal Reserve. We're also going to ask, are these layoffs a result of the strikes, just like UPS, just like the auto worker union, or maybe it's a result of the media losing all trust from the public? Either way, let's get started now. This is an article from New York Post posted today, September 24th. Paramount Global bloodbath continues with phase 2 of planned 2,000 people job cut. 90% of those reductions will be complete by the end of Tuesday, which is today. The final day for about 1,800 people is today. And again, you guys, I'm going to show you by accessing Google Maps just how massive this classic, really historical facility really is. Their CEO goes on, like the entire media industry, we are working to accelerate streaming profitability while at the same time adjusting to the evolving landscape in our traditional businesses. Now, I'm wondering, by streaming profitability, are they referring to places like YouTube? It seems like YouTube is growing like crazy, so I don't know. And by evolving landscape, are they saying that people no longer trust the media because we now get that the elites are in control of the media, whether it's CNN or Fox News? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, but this goes on. Days like today are never easy, but they still have a job. Whoever's writing that still has a job. I just want to make that point. It is difficult to say goodbye to valued colleagues, and to those departing, we are incredibly grateful for your countless contributions. Paramount said in August that it would slash 15% of its U.S. workforce in order to cut $500 million from the budget ahead of a planned merger with Skydance Media, expected to finalize at the end of 2025. It is unclear where the final 10% of the cuts will be enacted, but they will likely happen before the end of 2024. In other words, there's another 200 people that work at Paramount that are going to get laid off. I'm wondering if it has anything to do with what this article is mentioning. Paramount layoffs hit advertising division. What's interesting is this appears that these layoffs were not a part of that 15%. And staff were informed last week or informed this morning. So blindsided, always blindsided. It comes a month after Paramount Global officially initiated long-planned layoffs that will see it cut the U.S.-based workforce by 15%. Let me show you how big this facility is. It's actually more like a block of multiple facilities. So here's one of the studios right here that I'm circling. You guys can see that right here. Now, essentially, this entire block that I'm circling up into the cemetery is Paramount Studios. This is huge. Let me zoom in so the whole screen is Paramount. So this, everything you're seeing right there is basically Paramount. So this is going to have a huge impact. This is also Paramount. And I want you guys to think about this, okay? This whole facility, think about how much money they're paying in property tax. That property tax goes towards what? Paying teachers. If this whole facility just closed down and say the city of Los Angeles or Hollywood was collecting, say, $5 million in property taxes, guess what? They can no longer afford to pay the teachers, the police department. What they'll do is they're going to raise property taxes on the landlords and homeowners, who will then pass that on to tenants or who are going to try to. But this is massive, you guys. And let me zoom out and show you. First of all, this is interesting. Look at over here across the street. Southern California is so densely populated. Right across the street from Paramount, look at this, are manufactured homes. But it's a residential neighborhood. Isn't that wild? Look, there's 2 manufactured home spaces right there. That's interesting. But when I zoom out, I mean, this is surrounded, you guys, by residential neighborhoods. So those are the people that are going to pay for this. Again, the city needs to come up with the money somehow. So all of this is residential. Pretty much almost everything you're seeing south is, I mean, look at this. This is insane. This is all residential. Now here it looks like commercial right here. To the west and north of the manufactured home park. And so all of these companies and businesses right here are going to suffer, because a lot of these businesses, McDonald's, shopping, haircut places, like all down here, they're going to suffer. All of these places as a result of this huge pillar of the community being shut down. Now, let me show you just to remind you guys what it was like. And I remember I'm from California, so this hit home. Look at this. So this is boots on the ground of their actual studio. This is huge. So all of these jobs it took to maintain this and to build this out, it's over. When I look at this right here, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Back to the Future, and I don't even know if this was in Back to the Future, but that reminds me of Back to the Future. I miss the good old Hollywood days. And look at this. When I kind of go this way, this right here reminds me of Spider-Man. Okay, you see the subway right there? I mean, how many movies have we seen where they're going down a subway with green staircasing and Spider-Man shoots across the street? I mean, I could be wrong here, but that's pretty sad. Mitch and I have been explaining to you just how big an impact the massive overvaluation and tax fraud really is, and how that impacts anyone from a renter to a small business owner. It literally impacts everyone. So yes, the state is responsible. Yes, the Federal Reserve is responsible. The overwhelming amount of debt is responsible. Obviously, we should be thriving, but we're not. The Fed is doing quantitative tightening, meaning they don't want us to make more money right now. They don't want our wages to increase. So yes, it's the Federal Reserve's fault. But I also want to ask you guys this. As the article mentioned, streaming services, between streaming services and public mistrust, what do you guys think the biggest impact is on these layoffs? Again, taking out of the equation the Federal Reserve, taking out of the equation all of the fraud and property overvaluation, which again, that plant shutting down, the city has lost that tax revenue. Where are they going to get it? They're going to try to get it from the homeowners and small business owners. But regardless, what is the bigger impact between streaming services like YouTube versus public mistrust? I want to say it's like 50-50. It's like the public's waking up, but I know there's a huge apathy problem that I'll ask you guys about at the end of this video. Also, a lot of people are on their cell phones. So I really don't know, but I think both of those combined with the Fed, it's rocking them. Comment below. I really want to know how you feel. Let me show you guys that the mass media layoffs are spreading, and essentially every single company in media is experiencing rounds of mass layoffs. And some of these people on this list are going to strike your soul. This is an article from Deadline.com, list of Hollywood and media layoffs so far in 2024, from Paramount to Warner Brothers Discovery to CNN. After the Corona-19 pandemic, 2 strikes in Hollywood. Remember that, guys. And again, I'm going to ask you at the end of this, do you think that without the strikes, we would have this many layoffs? But we'll get to that here in a minute. 2 strikes in Hollywood, and with the impact of streaming and the advent of AI, the media landscape has continued to shift and consolidate. As Warner Brothers and Discovery CEO David predicted as recently as 2024, what I want to do is spotlight some of these companies. Now, the first one is A&E Network. Now, these are channels like Lifetime and the History Channel. They had mass layoffs. I don't know if you guys knew that. Look at this. Merit Street Media, which is essentially Dr. Phil. So the Dr. Phil show is not pulling in enough money to support their staff. Obviously, we talked about Paramount Global laying off 15% of their staff. Obviously, 90% of that 15%, those layoffs finalized and happened today, Tuesday, the 24th. Disney Entertainment, which seems to be a monopoly. They seem to own pretty much everything nowadays, including Star Wars, which really hurts my feelings. But they also own National Geographic. They have been doing crazy rounds of layoffs. National Geographic alone had 13% of its staff cut, which is a bummer because I personally respect National Geographic a lot. And that was a childhood magazine I used to always read. In addition to that, Fox Entertainment is also having staff reductions. They're also doing layoffs, cutting as many as 30 employees in July. In addition to that, Lifted Entertainment, I'm not sure who that is, Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, I talked a little bit about that. This comes a year after a round of layoffs that led to the departure of a number of network executives in its cable business. So another round of layoffs for Warner Brothers Discovery. In addition to that, Entertainment Tonight is also doing layoffs. Pretty crazy stuff here, guys. CNN reduced its staff by 100, laying off about 2.9% of its workforce. So whether you like Fox or CNN or neither of them, they're both doing rounds of layoffs, as is Chicken Soup for the Soul, which has filed bankruptcy. Media Matters for America is also doing mass layoffs. Allen Media Group is doing mass layoffs. Noah Media is doing mass layoffs. Household names like Netflix. Now, Netflix hasn't done a lot of layoffs. It's only saying about 15. That may be a result of them being in the streaming services, or maybe they did most of their layoffs in 2023. Either way, they are doing layoffs, as is Marvel. So if you like Spider-Man or Wolverine or any of those comic book heroes, they're doing layoffs, as is Fifth Season. It also goes on to written media like Time Magazine doing layoffs of 30 employees, as is Los Angeles Times. Huge companies, massive amounts of layoffs. It goes on to Sports Illustrated and YouTube as well. YouTube doing layoffs of about 100 people in January, as well as Google doing layoffs of about 1,000 workers. And I want you guys to remember 1,000 people is a ton of people, especially if it's concentrated just like the studio closing down in Hollywood. That impact, that localized impact is going to be devastating, again, to anyone that was basically making money off of all those people working there. In addition to that, NBC News is doing layoffs from 50 to 100, as is Hallmark Media, Great American Media, and Amazon Studios is also doing layoffs. So any of those Prime Video shows, don't hold your breath because they may not be coming back next season. I want to ask this question, and I really want you guys to think about it. If it wasn't for the back-to-back Hollywood writers' strikes, would there be as many layoffs as we see that are happening right now? In other words, you guys, we just can't win. I mean, literally, the Federal Reserve is confusing us and pitting us against each other all the time, and they're rewarding people taking advantage of us and essentially committing fraud. And I'm going to tell you guys another thing. This inflation that we see right now is only creating a bigger wealth gap, and it is robbing us of generational wealth. I think the strikes had a big impact. Streaming services had a big impact. Public opinion, big impact. I definitely think the biggest impact of all is the Fed and the government because of this, the parabolic government debt chart. I mean, this is unexcusable. That is unexcusable. The government is literally on a spending spree like they're addicts, like they're teenage addicts that just found a credit card lying in the street that they never have to pay off. I mean, look at that. Seriously, take that chart in right there. That's how our government is spending our money. They've run out of our money to spend. They have no more money of ours to spend. They're spending our future money. At least, you guys, that's in my opinion. I get a lot of people that ask me, what can we do about this? Remember, you guys, Mitch Vexler and I have been leading the way, trying to show you what you can do on a localized level, which is fight. That's it. Fight to do what? Fight to save your money. How? Protest the value of your houses. When these cities and municipalities lose income, like they just did with Paramount, when they lose income, it causes them to go bankrupt sooner. And when they go bankrupt sooner, it's going to cause what? Public awareness. And that public awareness is going to shift the hands of the elected officials and hopefully create change for the good. And some of the things that we need is, well, number one, enforcement, transparency, and accountability. And again, the way to do that is just to conquer apathy. And how do you do that? Save your money. This system is gambling on us not caring. And what I'm showing you with these layoffs, guys, is this is just the tip of the iceberg. And what we see in mainstream media is not giving us the truth. What's the truth right now? We are under attack. And we are under attack by our Federal Reserve. If you don't even own a house, help your landlord. But one thing we should all do, whether we own a house or not, we should all rebudget and we should all do as best as we can to get ourselves out of the system and stop our reckless spending habits. Happy Tuesday. Don't forget, check out the links below. Multiple free empowerment courses. Please take those courses, especially if you're a real estate professional. Take those courses and start training and teaching people. And other than that, if you guys are out there investing in real estate or if you are just living your life, you guys, I wish you luck and I hope you win.